Okay, today's date is January 20th, 2024. It's around 12:30 in the afternoon. I've got Dad here, and we have brought forth Henderson Brown. Henderson Brown wants to tell his side of the story. And so I'm just going to ask Henderson right now, do you have a message for me right now that you need to tell me? First of all, Henderson, God, are we working with the entity that is Henderson Brown, walked in the shoes of Henderson Brown, and is my biological 3 times great-grandfather? Thank you. Dad, can you verify, is this the entity that walked in Henderson Brown's shoes, son of James P. Brown? Thank you. Henderson Brown, go ahead and give me the first word of your message, please. Now, Henderson, this is how it works. The light right here that I'm showing you, and Dad, you can tell him to illuminate that light when we get positive hits and we're on the mark. I don't know if you're good at manipulating energy yet or luminescence of light, but I do see the strip that I look at that divides the 2 spots of the illumination on the wall. That disappears usually when I'm hitting marks. Now, are you able to manipulate the light source as well as your mother? No. All right. Just go ahead and just work on it if you can. All right. Give me the first word of your message to me, please. H E L. Is your first word help? Okay. Help what? What do you want me to help? M? Help my. Okay. Help my what? Is help my the first 2 words of your message to me? Thank you. Go ahead. Give me the next word. M O. So I feel like you're telling me T. Okay. So help your mother. You want me to help your mother? Oh. All right. First question to you. Have you fully transitioned to the other side? Has your mother fully transitioned to the other side? Okay. So you're coming forward today to tell your side of the story. And this is a process to help your mother. All right. Oh, now I have massive goosebumps. This is almost, I want to cry. I want to cry. And I'm touched by that, but I'm absolutely wanting to cry right now. Wow. I'm very touched by it. So, has your mother Hester been hanging around the earth plane and unable to transition over? Yes. All right. Has your father, James P. Brown, transitioned over where he needs to be? No, he has not. So, are you saying that both your parents are earthbound in their energies? Yes, they're both earthbound. Well, that could explain a lot. And why that is when we are working with James P. Brown and we're tuned into his frequency, his radio station, he's still earthbound. So he's not been practicing with the lights as much as Hester's been really like, please see me, please see me. So they're both earthbound. Interesting. And James, why he refuses to answer, so I thought that was odd. Why won't you answer? You're on the other side. Everything's good. Well, because if you don't resolve issues that you have, if you're still angry, if you die angry, if you die as a drug addict, or an alcoholic, you tend to hold on to those emotions, which blocks you from transitioning fully. So when he popped out of his earth body because it shut down, he lingered because he was angry. He was angry. He was an angry individual. All right. Henderson, did you just tell me your father was angry? Because I kept hearing, he's angry, he's angry. And I felt like it was Henderson coming in. All right. So, Henderson, did you die angry? No, he didn't. All right. Did you have a fairly good life, Henderson? Did you feel, did you have a happy adulthood? Did you have a happy childhood? Okay. So, happy adulthood, unhappy childhood. That makes sense. All right. Did you love your father? Henderson Brown, did you love your father? Did your father drink a lot of whiskey? Was he a happy drunk? No, was he an angry drunk? All right. So you loved your father for the man without alcohol is what I just got in my head. Okay. You loved your father when he wasn't drinking. He could be very cruel when he was drinking, excessively cruel. Was he cruel to your mother, Hester? All right. Do you have a message that is needed for me to convey to Susie, who's writing your story, other than please help my mother? Okay, please go ahead and start your message now, please. Give me the first word in your message. What is important for us to focus on to help your mother? S T A. Are you telling us to start? Okay, start. All right, start where? Start where? M O U. I know where this is going. You do too. N. Okay, so are you telling me, Henderson, to start with Mount Zion Cemetery? Fine. Did you place a tombstone that showed where your mother was buried? Okay, Dad, will you help Henderson right now? Will you and Henderson work together? Dad, step forward. I'm talking to Dad. Victor Edwin Zinn. Is the tombstone still at Mount Zion Cemetery that marks the grave of Hester? Okay, yes. Dad, is it a visible headstone that we will find? Is it a visible headstone? Is her headstone buried underground? So, Henderson, I feel like what you're indicating to me, or what you're both indicating to me, is there was a headstone. It was a modest headstone to mark the grave of your mother. But at some point, it got knocked over, fell over, and people did not go to her grave. You were the only one who went to her grave. Henderson was the only one who went to her grave. And as time went on, did your brother John ever go to her grave? No. Did your mother die, Henderson, in your home? No. Was it because your home was so crowded with a lot of people at the time that your mother died? Yes. Okay. Did your mother die in your brother's home, John? Did John ever go to her grave after you died? No. Okay. So did anybody go to your mother's grave after you died? So no one went to her grave. And so was the tombstone accidentally knocked over maybe by a mowing crew, or just over time it just sort of fell over or got loose in the ground, and it's sort of a combination of things that caused it to fall over. It got between, I feel like it's under dirt. Is that right, Dad? Is her tombstone under dirt? And it's important that we find her tombstone. You want Susie? Oh my gosh. I thank you. All right, please back your energy up a little bit. I made that connection so that it just, whoa. We have got to find this woman's tombstone if it's even there. Now, Dad's saying it's still there. Does that mean it's still there when he was living and it's disappeared between 1989 and now? Question. Thank you for giving me the energy, but I need you to pull back just a little bit because you're making me exceedingly dizzy. Dad, this question is for you. Is the tombstone buried under a thin layer of dirt and grass for Hester Ann Helms? Is it still there? Can Susie and I find it? Will we find it? We will find it. Henderson, I'm going to imagine in my mind, because I know y'all can see what I'm thinking about, the graveyard at Mount Zion. I'm going to imagine myself walking through the gate of Mount Zion Cemetery. When I walk in, you are just in and to my right, and you are there toward the front of the cemetery closer to the road. You and your lovely bride, Sally. Okay, so when I walk through the gate, I want you to walk me to your mother's grave. Do I go in through the gate and to my left? No. Do I go in through the gate and go straight back? Okay, I go straight back. Yes and no. Okay, so I'm going, okay, to the opposite end of the road. Is it at the far end of the road? Okay, so I go in through the gate, straight back, and to my right, slightly. And she's buried in that area there. Is that right? Yes, that's what I'm getting. Okay. And will you, Dad, and Hester lead us to the grave so we can find her tombstone, expose the tombstone, and give her a new headstone, and put her place back in the family line, in the family historical narrative? Thank you. All right. So that's the first thing. Man, I am so incredibly lightheaded right now. It's like he's just like, they're like both coming in from both sides, downloading this information to me. This is my visceral experience that I'm having. All right, Henderson, Did your father legally marry Amelia? No. Did Amelia know that her marriage was illegal? She did not know. Did Amelia assume she was legally married, even though Hester, your mother, was still alive? Yes. Dad says the ignorance was pretty high in those days. Not to be insulting, but that's what he gave me. It's kind of that bottom line. Ignorance was pretty pervasive in those days. You could pretty much say with authority, if you spoke with authority, you could sell anything. That's what Dad just said. Okay, let's go. Let's go further. Go ahead and download this information into my mind. All right, so we will, as soon as the weather clears up and gets warm, Sister and I will go out with our rods and we will start prodding the areas to help find Hester's grave and get her properly recognized in death. And we will put her story in a book and we'll add it to Ancestry, what we can prove, so she is not lost. Let me ask you this, Henderson, did your mother have any contact with her children beyond you and John? Oh my God, that's why I want to cry. This is what he's showing me. This is exactly what he's showing me. Holy cow. It's coming in again, and it's coming in visuals. This woman was so absolutely broken. He really did rob her. And Henderson says that's the part he never forgave of his dad. He never forgave his dad for treating his mother unkind. But Henderson blames the alcohol for the unkind part of his father. And he's showing everybody has multiple faces they show the world. And even to themselves, he's telling me. And his dad had an ugly, violent side when he was drinking. And so he blamed the devil. He blamed the devil. Henderson do you blame the devil? The devil took hold of his father's soul, and the devil caused the drinking. And Dad's chiming in. They don't understand alcoholism in those days, so that makes sense. That's why we call it the spirit. Thank you, Dad. I wasn't even thinking about that, but you're right. All right. So, how old were you when you first remembered seeing your dad being unkind to your mother? Give me an age. Show me an age. How old were you when you first saw your father, when you first mentally made note, that's mean to your mother? He's giving me 7. So somewhere between 5 and 7. He was kind of hanging both ways, but he ended up landing on 7. So he started with 5 and it went up. So I think what he's telling me, somewhere between 5 and 7 years old, he was little. And that's the first time, and he's showing me more 6 to 7. So he's witnessing, is this the time when he put your mother outside into the rain? And he locked the door and you fought your dad? As a little boy, you fought him. He takes Does your mother have a baby in her arms? and he removes the baby, sits the baby down, pulls her out of a chair, and shoves her outside. It's cold, it's rainy, and shoves her outside. Is this true? And she begs to come in, and you're pulling on him, and he shoves you aside. He's drinking heavily. You go to try to let your mother in. Okay. Is she able to come in? Does he let you allow her back in? Okay, so yes and no. So you do let your mother back in. Is she out there longer than an hour? No, she's not out there longer than an hour. Thank God. I thought, my God, she was out there all night. I feel like he goes and he flops down, and he's like, he's so drunk. He just flops down. The baby's crying. There's other little kids or something. I see little ones. And they're just not cared for. And he's just, it was a fit of rage. And he pulls her out of the chair and locks her, pushes her out the door, locks the door, won't let her in. Henderson's like, let her in, let her in, let her in. And he shoves him off to the side. He goes over and he flops down. I think he instantly passes out. And then she comes in. I think that is the first event of the 4 times that he shoved her out. And I feel like Henderson's telling me every time he did this, it was cold and rainy. Is that true? Was she ever shoved outside when it was warm out? Nope. It was something when it was cold and rainy. That's it. And did he put her out in the cold more than 4 times? Did he put her out in the cold and the rain less than 4 times? So it was 4 times he put her out there, and that was the first time. Henderson, as a little boy, lets her back in. She drives off. By the time he wakes up the next day, does your father, James P., even remember that he shoved her outside? Did he even remember that he did that? I feel, this is what's happening to me. I feel everything go dark. Like when he drinks and he gets angry and he acts in brutal ways, he almost did he always forget his actions when he was drunk? Or did he forget them conveniently, like he remembered them but said he forgot them? Okay, so there was both going on. I think what happens when he got really excessive drunk and he shoved her outside, I think there were times when he didn't remember because he was so excessively drunk. But there are times when he didn't get that drunk and he did remember behaving badly, but would never take ownership of that behavior, which we already kind of figured that from what everybody else has sort of told us. All right. So did Hester have any relationship with her children after your father forced her to move out? No. Did your father tell lies in your mind about your mother to keep the children away from her? Yes. Can you give me the year your mother died? Here, let me do it. A shadows. All right, go ahead, Henderson. Since you were there, we're going to assume that it was 18. You don't have to give me the 1 and the 8. Give me the year your mother died. 18. And give me the last 2 digits. 18, what did she die? Go ahead and give me the number, please. So your mother died in 1805? She died in 1850. She died in 1850. She died before your father. Okay. Now, did she die before your father took up with Amelia? No. Is Lewis Brown your full-blooded brother? No. Is Lewis Brown your half-brother? Yes. Is Lewis Brown's mother, can you give me her name, please? Who is the mother of Lewis Brown? Go ahead and give me the letters, please. S A R. Sarah. Is it Sarah Mock? Is Sarah Mock the mother of Lewis Brown? Hmm. Was this, did Sarah Mock want to have a relationship with your father? Did she want to have a relationship with Lewis? Did Sarah Mock consider Lewis the devil's spawn? Did you consider him the devil's spawn? All right. So, did you embrace him as a little brother? That's kind of you. I'm liking you more and more, Henderson. All right. So, can you give me the month that your mother died in? Using the numbers on the chart below, give me the month your mother died. So she died in February? Okay, so that's kind of what we got yesterday when we were tuning in. All right, so she died in February. Now, did James P. Brown get violent with Amelia? Yes. Did Amelia fight back? Yes. Did Amelia return back to southern Indiana when she left James? Okay, so she went back, or did she end up in Hancock County? Did Amelia end up in Hancock County? No. Did she go to Hancock County? She went, yes and no. So I feel like she kind of moved about. I'm getting a sense that she's moving about a little bit, and then she ends up in Switzerland County. Is that right? So she left him, moved about, and then left and went to Switzerland County. Okay. I don't know if we can verify that or not, but that'd be great. Is there any physical records of that left today, Dad? We can verify that? Okay. Now, did James P. write a will when he was claiming Amelia was his wife? Or did he have some kind of instrument, legal instrument? And that's how we know about Amelia. Is there any other record of Amelia that we can find today? No. All right. So he got violent with Amelia, and Amelia left him. Did Amelia go tell your mother she was leaving? Did she have a conversation with her? Did your mother think that Amelia was her only lifeline to her children. So the fight between James P. and Amelia was that he learned that Amelia was granting access to you kids to their mother. Interesting. So that's all yes. So did Amelia leave because he got violent? Or did he say, did he ask her, did he push her out? No, she left. She left because he beat her and he threatened her. He goes, if you want worse, do it again. That's what I hear. He's up in her face after he's beaten her to a bloody pulp, essentially. You want worse, do it again. You want worse, do it again. That is the phrase I keep hearing. You want worse, do it again. She left. She said, oh, hell no. So then he hooks up with this Mary because children need to be taken care of. But by this time, the children are older. He needs to be taken care of. Is that why he hooked up with Mary Pickle? Because he wants somebody to pick up after him. Did she have children with him? Did Mary Pickle have a child with James P.? Mary Pickle had a child with James P. Did Mary Pickle find James P. disgusting? Because I'm feeling like that was disgusting to her. Or is that my own emotions? All right, you guys can't tell. All right, I get that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I won't ask about my emotions. I know you're not tuned into me. All right, gotcha. All right, Henderson. So, did your father, James P., die in Hamilton County? Did he die in Marion County? Did James P. live on the farm of Mary? Yes, and he died there. Is James P., your father, buried at Mount Zion Cemetery? Did you give James P. a headstone? Ooh. So he's buried out there, but no headstone. So, all right, so here's the thing. This is what confuses me, Henderson. You named your son James, born in 1834. Did you grow to dislike your father over time? If your father had died, yes, if your father had died at the birth of your son, would you have given him a headstone at that time? So, okay, so over time, you could excuse his alcohol, being mean with alcohol, right? When you were a child, because you loved your father. You even made excuses for him. But over time, as you watched how he treated and manipulated other people, you grew to resent him. Is this true? And so when your father died, did any of the children want to give him a headstone? Did any of his kids want to give him a headstone? Was it because, well, all right, so let's ask this. So none of the children wanted to give him a headstone, right? So did they grow to resent him over time as well? Then why did they not reconnect with their mother? Is it because by the time they realized everything that he had done to their mother, was it too late for them to reconnect with their mother? Was she dead by the time they had the, oh my goodness, I can't believe I let that man break me apart from my mother? Oh man, this story just gets worse and worse. Wow. So James does not have a headstone. Gotta go for now. We'll reconnect. Henderson, thank you. We're going to get more of your story. We're going to help your mom. Dad, thank you for coming. I love you. And it's awesome working with Daddy-O. What a story this is going to be.